Okay. I'd like to talk about the Ferguson shooting. Now, I almost never talk about a high pressure, high publicity incident until a lot of the facts are in. As it stands today, the officer involved in that incident, they're still debating whether or not to indict him and charge him with anything from involuntary manslaughter to first-degree premeditated murder. They're still not decided. However, several people have said, lawyers, police administrators have said it is almost certain. It is like more than 90% they will not be pressing any charges at all. These are legal analysts, these are attorneys. In fact, I think one attorney said yesterday on Fox, I forget who exactly, they said they've never seen a person indicted at this point in the investigation. Now, first and foremost, 90% of the time, the media tells you there was a shooting. If that shooting involved a police officer or a lawful firearms owner, 90% of the time, the story they tell you is false. And I mean ridiculously false. Now, if Al Sharpton ever gets involved in any discussion, period, there is a 100% chance that the exact opposite of the initial report is true. Okay? So if Al Sharpton said, someone flipped a coin and it landed on heads, it landed on tails. If Al Sharpton said he looked up and he saw the sky, he didn't look up and see the sky. He looked down and he saw the ground. Okay? The minute Al Sharpton opens his mouth, you automatically know the opposite is true. Okay? Automatic. Opposite is always true with Al Sharpton. Always. Now, the story we heard beginning, which I obviously never believe, is that a police officer approached two men and said, "Get back up on the sidewalk because you're blocking traffic, blah, blah, blah." The officer then got out of his car, grabbed the larger of the two men, pulled him down, began punching him, slapping him, calling him the N-word. Okay? The man, fearing for his life, ran down the road. "Please help me, the police are chasing me," with his hands in the air. And the officer ran after him and shot him in the back. And he shot him several times, and he shot him, he walked up and shot him in the head at point blank range. And it was execution style murder. Okay? That was the first report. Your report might have been a little different. What you heard, I don't know, but that was what I heard first. Black man running down the street, "Oh God, the police are chasing me, I surrender." And he gets shot in the back and killed. Here's what, well, one of the story started to unravel about a month and a half ago when there was a video footage of the body laying in the street uncovered. They didn't even throw a tarp over this fucking guy. And someone off camera says, yeah. He turned back around, head towards the police, whatever else. But the person on camera was a witness, and they said to someone else, he turned back around and ran towards the cop. And that was picked up on the camera. Technically, if a judge were to see that tape, the judge would want to bring that person in and swear him under oath and have him give testimony on the stand. The judge would not admit that as evidence flat out. He wouldn't. He would want that person to be subpoenaed to come in and testify under oath. And I don't think that's necessary at this point. Well, the forensic scientists, the medical examiners, other eyewitnesses, the story that they're working on now, which is almost certainly the truth, is that the officer did drive in the street, see two men walking in the street, not on the sidewalk. I know, when I was in high school, all my friends would walk right down the street, right in the middle of the street, and our friends with cars would drive by, speeding. It was stupid. You're not supposed to walk in the street, you're not supposed to drive on the sidewalk. So the officer said, you guys gotta get on the sidewalk, you're blocking traffic. He's a police officer, he can do that. At some point, Mike Brown, who was well over 6'4", close to 300 pounds, went over to the officer and hit him. Somehow, slap, punch, kick, bite, but he somehow initiated force. Now, this is why police officers hate when you get too close to them. Now, if I had talked to a police officer, whatever, I would walk right up to the car and even stick my head in the window because I want to talk. I can't be distracted by the outside noise, the cars, the horns. So I got to talk, I got to listen. So I lean up to the car, I even stick my head in the car. That's because I work for them and they know me. But unless you work for the police department or unless you know the cop personally, they get very, very mad when you lean in. Because you might be completely innocent, you might be giving credible information, but they don't like when you get too close because they don't know if that's a threat or not. That's why, so don't ever get too close to them. Now in this case, not only did he get too close, he went in and started some kind of fight. Now, most people will tell you, if you're in a car and someone hits you, jam the gas and get away. Even if you live in a state that allows you to stand your ground, maybe you're better off fleeing. Because if you don't flee, the situation might get worse. If you don't flee, things might get out of hand, and you don't want to have to go through the homicide investigation unless you have to. Now, a police officer is not under that obligation. The officer, the opposite is true. He does not retreat. He arrests the suspect. So now you have a police officer that's not involved in a fight. He's dealing with a suspect who was assaulting him. So it doesn't matter if he retreated or not. He wasn't supposed to retreat. At some point, Mike Brown comes closer, maybe even goes into the car, some believe. And I've heard he tried to knock the eye socket out. I've heard a lot of things, but it is certain now that he went for the gun. Now, when you go for someone's gun, that is called deadly force because you're not taking their gun to surrender to the Brady campaign. You're taking their gun to kill them and possibly kill other people. So now you have a case where a guy is laying in his car, his patrol car, with a man who was a lot larger than he is, beating the shit out of him, possibly trying to take his gun. They fight over the gun, and I don't know if he pulls the trigger or if the gun goes off. But Mike Brown was shot in the car. That was the first initial blast, went off in the car, and some believe it might have hit him in the hand. Okay, now you have a case where a police officer is arresting a suspect. You would kick him out of the car or shoot him out of the car, but get him out of the car, jam the gas, take off, find the nearest police officer and say, I was attacked. The police officer gets out of the car and he goes to pursue the suspect. Okay, you would normally not do that because even if you have a stand your ground state, okay, the law says someone's hitting you, you stand your ground. Fine. But once they run away, you're no longer standing your ground. You're pursuing them. You're bringing on another issue. The officer does not do that. The officer pursues because he must make the arrest. This person has threatened him. This person has assaulted him. This person committed a crime. He has to arrest that person before that person kills or hurts someone else. Now, prior to 1985, the cops would have shot him in the back, shot him execution style, pissed on his head. But after 1985, you're not allowed to shoot anyone fleeing anymore unless you're absolutely satisfied that they're like a terrorist or some shit. Okay, you're not allowed to shoot guys in the back anymore fleeing unless it's like a last resort. I talked about it like 5 years ago, I think. Heller versus Gardner versus Tennessee versus Gardner. That was the case. The cops, the kid in the back of the head, yeah. So now the officer is running after him to arrest him, and one witness said on remember the camera off. Okay, he turned back around and went forward, and then that was it. Now, a lot of people say he had a shot on the top of the head. How does that happen? The SIG P229, Tim for .40 caliber, the double action, single action version, was what he was using. That gun has a 10-pound trigger for the first shot, and then once it goes into continuous action, it has a 4.5 pound trigger. Under pressure, you're doing this real fast, okay? You're doing this. You're not going like bang, 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 bang. You're going like that, like that. You're literally going like that. Your brain is going a mile a minute. So, and the bullets are what? How long does it take to empty a magazine? 3 seconds? So, most likely, he fired a couple of bullets and Mike Brown went down, and then as he went down, the bullet went on the top of his head. I don't know, I wasn't there. You gotta get the ballistics analyst for that. He's gotta do maps, do computer profiles of the scene. He's gotta do all this other bullshit, you know, but that's probably what happens, okay? And you see this a lot. You see the guy shot in the chest, but when his body hits the ground, one bullet's in the chest, one bullet's in the butt, one bullet's in the bottom of the foot, one bullet's in the kneecap. I mean, it's crazy the way the bullets fly. You'd be surprised. So now the media says Mike Brown was unarmed. Okay. Mike Brown is 6'4". He weighs close to 300 pounds. Now, you can kill someone with your bare hands, okay? Okay? And it doesn't take a lot of strength. Okay? You could have, let's assume this, let's assume you had 110-pound woman. 110-pound woman. And you asked her to walk on your back. She could kill you by stepping real hard on the back of your neck. Real hard, like she jumped on it real hard, or if she twisted it, or if your head is this way, or if she got you at the right angle, she could bang your head back, okay? That's not gonna happen, but I'm just saying that in theory. Okay? It all depends on the weight, the height, the size, the dimensions, the angle you're at. Okay? You could have someone smaller than you punch you in the face, fall down, bang your head on concrete and die. You could have someone push you, fall, bang your head on a rock and die. You have a 6'4", 300-pound guy. He can break, I'm 5'9", 190 pounds. He could probably break me in half. Choke, break the neck, okay? So, this unarmed shit means nothing. Unarmed means nothing. Because hands and feet are used to kill more people than blunt objects, sharp objects, and firearms combined. Okay? Now, remember how the defense attorney in the Trayvon Martin case said Trayvon armed himself with concrete by banging George Zimmerman's head on the concrete? Well, Mike Brown was trying to arm himself with the cop's gun. He was trying to become armed. Now, remember when I did my review on the Trayvon Martin case? I had my hoodie on, I had baggy pants on, and I had 2 handguns and a bunch of knives on me. How did the officer know that Mike Brown was unarmed? He didn't. He could have had a knife on him. He could have had a gun on him. You could have had a 5-shot 38 special on you. Oh, that's drilling from downstairs. I'm sorry. So, how did he know? He didn't know. On top of that, Mike Brown is 6'4", 300 pounds. If he runs and pushes like a football player, runs and just knocks the officer can bang his head and die. Also, Mike Brown is 18. Okay. You know what that means? Nothing. Where I live in New York, your 16th birthday, you go to the adult judge, the adult court, the adult trial, the adult jury, the adult jail, the adult prison, the adult charges. 16. There are 15-year-olds in prison now for killing their parents. There are 13 and 14-year-old girls that have serious psychological problems. I'm talking over the drum, sorry. And they kill, 13-year-old girl weighs 95 pounds. She has a fight with her mother. Grabs the butcher knife. Okay? They have 9 and 10-year-old kids. They have a 10-year-old kid killed an old lady a few weeks ago. So the 18-year-old means nothing. Also, Mike Brown was headed to college. Really? He was? He did apply? Was he granted a scholarship? Was he? There is a videotape of Mike Brown committing a robbery. He goes to grab cigarillos, and on the way out, the manager gets in the way and like a fly flicks him. When you steal from someone, that is called larceny. When you touch them, that is called robbery. If you do any physical touching of a person during the course of a theft, that is robbery, that is a felony. So Mike Brown was going to trial for robbery. Okay, also, assuming the fight had occurred and he was captured alive, he was going to one trial for the robbery and one trial for assault, if not attempted murder of a police officer. Now, obviously, black on black violence in Chicago, no one cares. But when a white police officer kills a black suspect, they have to have the racial animosity and the hatred and the bullshit, blah, 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 blah. Okay? And it's the hands up, don't shoot. Now, what were the cigarillos for? Weed. Where I live, we don't have cigarette rolling paper because no one rolls their own cigarettes out here. So when my friends were kids, I didn't smoke weed. My friends were kids, they would buy the 75-cent cigar, break it open, throw the tobacco on the floor, put the weed in it, called a blunt. Marijuana, smoking marijuana is equivalent to smoking a pack of cigarettes. It kills your lungs. Also, marijuana fucks with your brain. You can't think when you're on marijuana. That's why when you smoke marijuana and you drive, you get arrested for driving while intoxicated. Because you're not allowed to drink on marijuana, not allowed to drive on marijuana, not allowed to operate heavy machinery on marijuana because your brain. It is alleged that he had marijuana in his body at the time of the incident, which meant his brain wasn't functioning properly. Okay, and now when I was a kid, and yeah, I know, I had a lot of bad friends, I know. We were taught, you live by the gun, you die by the gun. That doesn't mean gun culture, NRA, shooting clubs. It doesn't mean the gang, thug, gun in the pants culture. You want to assault cops, you want to sell drugs, you want to be a gang, you want to steal, you want to hurt people, okay? You will not live long. If you want to rape women, a woman will shoot you eventually. If you want to join a gang, the other gang will kill you eventually. If you want to assault police officers, they will defend themselves eventually. You will eventually end up dead. They taught us when I was a kid, at least where I am, I don't know where you were, but when I was a kid, I'm 32 now, they taught us if you choose that behavior, you choose that lifestyle. Kid gets shot by a cop, okay, he's a drug dealer, he's wearing a gang insignia, he's got felony records on him, he chose the lifestyle, that's that. Now they're teaching the kids, if you're a certain color, you can hit white cops. And if white cops defend themselves from you, you'll be a martyr. There were over 700 law enforcement officers killed in the line of duty since 2009. Not one of them had a White House delegate at their funeral. This kid had 3. This is poisoning this country, my friends. We are poisoning this country. Okay? Because we are teaching the next generation, we're abusing these kids. They got little kids, 6 years old, hands up, don't shoot. They're brainwashing these kids to think that when a white cop shoots a black guy, you can start a riot. When a white cop shoots a black guy, you can start a race war. And believe me, the next generation is going to be worse. Generation after that, even worse. Because until Al Sharpton shuts his fucking mouth and goes the fuck away, and until parents, no matter what your color is, white, black, yellow, brown, whatever the fuck your color is, tell your kids, listen, cop tells you to get back on the fucking sidewalk, you get back on the fucking sidewalk. Okay? You want to go to the store, you pay for it, or you get the fuck out. Okay? You want to punch a cop in the fucking face and go for his gun, you're going to get fucking shot. Okay? Because Mike Brown didn't care about that cop's family. Mike Brown didn't care if that cop had kids or friends or he didn't give a fuck about that. Okay? When a cop is laying on his back and you're punching him in the fucking face, trying to take his fucking gun away from him, he's thinking one thing: I gotta get out of here. I gotta survive. And if his survival means he's gotta kill you, so what? I had a cousin who killed a guy in line of duty once. He was a cop. He killed a guy in the line of duty. And yes, he was white and the suspect was black. 1987. No one cared. Guy was committing a robbery. Guy was 300 pounds. Guy was coming at him. He put 7 bullets in the guy. The guy finally went down. He had 2 choices: kill this guy or be killed myself. Goodbye. There comes a point in time where you put someone in a situation where they have to kill you to survive. And when they do, it's your fault, not theirs. And you know what? If I'm laying on my back and you're banging my fucking head on concrete, if I'm in my car and you punch me in the face trying to get my gun, guess what? I don't give a fuck how young you're, 16, 17, I'm going to defend myself. Okay? And all you people that have brainwashed these fucking kids, shut the fuck up now and go away. That's it.